Hi, welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and I'm joined in the studio right now by Susan Yackee, who is the director of the Lafollette School of Public Affairs at UW-Madison. Susan, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So good to have you here. So tell us, why is the Lafollette School of Public Affairs such a great graduate program over at UW-Madison?
Well, we really have some great faculty at the Lafollette School. So one of the top faculty researchers in the field of public management, for instance, is at the Lafollette School. And we bring that faculty research into the classroom to teach analytics, to teach topics that people care about in governance today.
Very cool. Now, you guys do a little bit of outreach at the Lafollette School. What is the last thing that you guys did to help the state of Wisconsin?
Well, let me mention two different things. So one thing is we recently brought in former Governor Tommy Thompson. So the governor had actually never given a public lecture on UW's campus before, and so we were thrilled to have him. And he showcased and talked about sort of making public policy work over the next 100 years. It was great. Another thing that we recently did was we ran a training session for legislative staffers in our state legislature. We worked with Representative Robin Voss's office and gave them some new skills to make public policy better.
Very neat. Very neat. Now, some folks who might be watching might have some questions about what are some classes that are examples of classes for public affairs if you were going to go into something like that. Can you give us some examples of what kind of classes you teach over there? Sure.
We teach classes in both public policy and public management. A lot of our classes are very based on analytics. So for instance, we offer a class called cost-benefit analysis. So that actually breaks down the costs of public programs versus their benefits, and that type of information lets public sector decision makers decide, should we introduce this program or not?
Sure, sure. So what are some specific jobs that your graduates might get after they get a degree from the Lafollette School?
So our graduates go all across the globe, but most of our graduates stay here in Wisconsin, working for state agencies like the Department of Children and Families, working for the city of Milwaukee, working for major nonprofits in the state and local communities. We also have a select group of folks that are going to private sector. So much of private sector intersects with government and contracting out, or even now philanthropy. And our graduates are well positioned to take those positions too.
Very cool, very cool. What is that? I'm curious to know, what is your area of expertise?
So I'm a political scientist by training, and I study the policymaking process. So I'm really interested in who wins, who loses, and why. And a lot of my research recently has been on interest groups and whether they're influential in the process.
Sure, sure. So you were you involved in any way in this past election that we just had a few weeks ago or anything like that, or did you?
Mostly as an observer, right? Sure. I think all of us were sitting in the state of Wisconsin. We're kind of sitting on the edge of our seat to see how the outcomes might play out. I mean, I'm mostly interested in what happens after the election. So when people get down to making public policy decisions and governing.
Sure, sure. But it is always interesting to see, to kind of pay attention to how much money each candidate is spending and that kind of thing, and then how that bodes for them later on in their election and that kind of thing. So
absolutely. I just got back from a really interesting conference at Stanford, which was all about how money comes into our elections and then can impact public policy.
Yes, very interesting topic. Tell us who your school is named after.
Well, our school is named after Fighting Bob Lafollette, right? So the reformer who was from our state, decades ago now. But that spirit of reform in government, making government better, is sort of throughout the Lafollette School. We really practice what the university calls the Wisconsin idea, that the knowledge that we generate in our school ought to be shared with our citizenry and the boundaries of our state and the boundaries of our world.
Wonderful. And Fighting Bob was somebody who was a very passionate individual, as I've read about and heard about from him. So it's very obvious to me that you're very passionate about what you do, and I think that that's awesome that you're taking that to your students and that kind of thing. So
thanks. I mean, it's easy to be passionate about a place where the faculty care about the students, and the students just produce such great work.
Yes, absolutely. Susan Yackee, thank you so much for joining us today. Susan Yackee is the director of the Lafollette School of Public Affairs at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Check them out, check out their website, and see how you can get involved. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.